If it's one thing that I hope you come to the LZ for, it's for honesty and objectivity in all things. I make it a point to not be overly reactionary about things because it really skews the opinion one way or another. Whether that's wrong or right, or palatable to your viewer experience, well, that's yet to be seen even after 10 years of content making. And after 6 years and 20-some updates for No Man's Sky, the barely precedented has occurred again, something that hasn't occurred since launch. Controversy has erupted into the community. And before I get into talking about what that controversy is, and of course here in the LZ, I don't typically like to gripe about a problem without presenting a reasonable solution. But I want to hear from you first. In the comment section, I would like for you to convey to me and us your thoughts about the No Man's Sky Waypoint update and the changes that it brought. And of course, to keep with today's themed video, please like or subscribe based on your feelings of the update, or rather like or dislike. Sorry, I never say dislike. And of course, I'd like to make those numbers known to you all as regularly as possible, considering you can't see the percentage of the dislikes on YouTube videos anymore. But I've never seen this community so split on something, and the Beyond update happened. But for those of you who are uninitiated, let me just kind of give you the bullet points. Hello Games released its 4.0 update, which, breaking with original tradition of the years previous to that, the whole number updates like 2.0 and 3.0 presented a lot of extra content and change, whereas 4.0 was more focused towards quality of life changes, predominantly towards custom game modes, game mode changes, and inventory changes. The custom game modes basically gives you the keys to the kingdom to a degree, which I'll highlight what I believe from my perception is the problem with this update. And the inventory changes weren't really favored by all because they kind of, to some, seemed a little less organized than they were before. And upgradability to your tech seems to have been pretty significantly nerfed. In my review that I posted a couple of days ago, which I'll throw in the cards here and at the end of the video, of course, I said that the game mode changes and giving you the keys to the kingdom as far as customizing just how difficult or not difficult your gameplay experience can be, it was actually a good thing. And while I praised the new inventory as a step forward, I also said that it was 2 steps back. Now, of course, you have probably watched videos numerous already from some of my other creator friends talking about how to give feedback appropriately like a freaking adult, and how to interact with other adult human beings in a meaningful and impactful way where we can all just be friends and grown-ups here. While I haven't seen a ton of it, and while I'll continue to echo, like I did yesterday in my Twitter thread, that regardless of what little toxicity you might have seen from any of the No Man's Sky community, we're still the best damn community in gaming that there is if you measure it to other gaming communities. You just can't hold a candle to that. So all of this outrage is small and insignificant to some of the outrage I've seen. Recently, you know that we received the Modern Warfare 2 beta, and one of the most toxic reactions I have ever seen to a Call of Duty, and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare happened. It wasn't received very favorably. And just like the Waypoint update, a lot of that feedback was valid, but the same concerns with Infinity Ward and Modern Warfare 2 are there when it comes to Hello Games and No Man's Sky. There is a gigantic wall in between the developer and the studio and us, the player, right? I will explain why I think that is and why that's and why those two things are more related than you think. But just to try to calm the fire a little bit, by way of comparison, our community is a field of glorious, beautiful flowers compared to a lot of other gaming communities like the COD community. You can take comfort in that. But here's something else that, even though you may not take comfort in right now, you should take comfort in it. Previously, the community, and yours truly as well, has used the Steam ratings over the last 6 years to gauge reception of No Man's Sky and its subsequent update. Of course, launch was met with just overwhelming anger and displeasure about No Man's Sky. That was true everywhere. But with every passing update past that, the game continued to move to a more and more positive and mostly positive, and on its way to an overwhelmingly positive reception. But here's something, no matter how you feel about this new update, whether you are saying you love it or you hate it or you're trying to tell somebody else to get over it, you cannot ignore this. If you look at the ratings on Steam, and I really, of course, can't speak anywhere else. Apparently, the Nintendo Switch version was super well regarded. Look at this split and tell me that there isn't a there, because there is totally a there. We can't write this off, right? This is something that Hello Games should be seeing. This is something that we as a community can be seeing, because, hey, if we're going to use the Steam metrics as a barometer for when we're dunking on people on the internet for how No Man's Sky is good now, well, then we have to hold it to ourselves to use this as a barometer when the studio doesn't do as well with an update. And honestly, listen, I don't want to hear but it's free update, LZ, and they're a tiny team, LZ. This is all true, of course, but it's beside the point. Now, my friends and peers, Survival Bob and Jason Plays and Captain Steve, whom I regard so respectfully, they've talked about this, and they've given their feedback, and I think the best way possible. It's objective. It's easy to understand. It isn't rage-filled. We're giving feedback like the studio can see it, because that's, at the end of the day, what means the most. And all of you should be delivering your feedback just like that, too. When Sean tweets, or he's asking for feedback on the Zendesk, or, they read the subreddit, conduct yourselves like you're an adult. Now, of course, there is the defense force, too, that is just as kind of cringe as those few that are kind of just going off on No Man's Sky and Hello Games about this mundane-ass change. The people who step in and sort of invalidate anybody's even objective and well-worded opinions are met with so No Man's Sky is good now, and Hello Games, it's a free update, and just deal with it. It's not even that bad. You have to be as good at receiving feedback as the studio is at this point, because when you invalidate somebody's opinion, even if it's well delivered, not toxic, not angry, not I'm just deleting this, then, respect that opinion. Because if you look at this graph from the Steam reviews, and I read a lot of these reviews, particularly the negative ones, that all basically said the same thing. I've been playing this game for years, and then you went and gave the newbies God mode. The scrolling is awkward. Why did the min-maxers have to pay at the expense of new players who are coming in and feeling overwhelmed by the tech system that you have in place currently? And that feedback is split right down the middle. So love it or hate it, agree with it or not, this is unprecedented for the last 5 years. As you can see, way over on the left side of the graph, the last time we've had this much of a split in the community was on day one. This is unbelievable. And listen, this is great that we're giving feedback. Let's stop disagreeing on the feedback, and let's agree on how we can better articulate that feedback, because Hello Games is listening. Now, I'll echo what my fellow creators and my friends on Twitter have said, and this is something I've been very critical with Hello Games for in the past. And I know they watch my videos. I have partnered with them before, last year I believe it was, so I know they do. There needs to be a better dialogue than this. And I'll tell you, and this was something I put a pin in earlier that I promised I would fall back on, and how Hello Games and Infinity Ward are kind of more related than you think. There is a reason why development studios put some kind of communication system in place with their player, because in a lot of time, gamers can't act their freaking age. They can't conduct themselves like grown people or mature human beings. Do you remember launch? Do I have to remind you what the launch was like? Do I have to remind you they got death threats? Do I have to remind you that people literally showed up to their studio? There's pictures, and you want to know why they don't have direct communications with us? Because they had to build pillow forts to protect from your toxic stalker bums. Sorry, I'm getting a little out of control. And it's the same for humanity, like in Infinity Ward and Call of Duty or Halo. Sometimes you just can't please everyone. Now, it is also true that when you try to please everyone, you please no one. So I'll echo that the changes are not even that bad, but the feedback is valid because honestly, when it came to the modes and when it came, especially the tech, when it came to the tech, we fixed something that wasn't broke. I don't know that anybody was ever asking for this. And now this, of course, might be more inviting to new players, for sure. I just did not see anybody saying, hey, you know what, you should nerf ships. Hey, you should have the number of upgrades. As a matter of fact, personally, I wanted to see less new items, like weird junky things that have one-time uses, maybe for like an expedition, and then it doesn't have any use anymore after that. I wanted to see less of that, and I wanted to see more tech upgrades and more tech customization, and we got less of it, right? We got less of it, and it got chopped in half. And a lot of folks who've been working for years with, 500,000, 2,000 hour saves kind of got punched in the nose a little bit. And so I, in good conscience, cannot tell these people that they cannot be mad. I personally was not affected by that. As a matter of fact, I said yesterday on Twitter, these changes for custom game modes and inventory changes and things like that is great for me as a creator. I think Survival Bob said this too, because then I can quickly get in there, see what's new, demonstrate it, document it, and then create content on it. But listen, Hello Games is not making No Man's Sky and whatever it is they're working on right now for YouTubers and content creators. I can certainly promise you that. I have never once had Hello Games or any other studio for that fact reach out to me and say, hey, what should we do next? Now, I'm not saying that's a terrible idea, because if anybody is most involved in this community, it's myself and a lot of the creators, right? We have our finger on the pulse of not only the game and how it works, but the reception of those things too. So if they're looking for a singularity of information to work with on what steps they would take next, then I would be happy to help with that. I'm not sure that Reddit is the most just level-headed place to do this. I'm sorry. It's the only place that I can post a meme and get 35,000 upvotes. I kid you not. But post my own video with an opinion or information or whatever and get downvoted to whatever circle of hell Dante went to. It's such a mess, and it's still one of the better subreddits I've been to as opposed to any other community like Reset Era or even worse, and I don't dabble in the 4chans or anything. Those places, you don't come back well from places like that. So out of all of this hubbub and noise about mundane features that didn't even hardly marginally ruin this game, if I'm being honest. Let's not be ridiculous. It's not that bad. However, again, I have a rule in the LZ that I don't like to complain about something without providing reasonable solutions. So here's my thoughts. First off, on the custom game mode, I agree. I agree with the sort of detractors on this that it is nice to be able to get in and customize things. Even in my review, I said, hey, it was great that they finally gave me the capacity to turn off the stupid scanner recharge. It is the dumbest thing in No Man's Sky that I have to wait for a scanner to recharge just to show me where I can find oxygen. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me that that's a thing. I'm happy to do that. As a matter of fact, that was the first thing I turned off. However, I do see how it kind of invalidates the experiences of people who have been playing survival modes and normal modes for so long. My solution would be, let's take that power of customizing your game modes to one of two places, or both. Let's take it to creative. Creative, when you start a creative save, you can dictate those rules right there in the beginning, and of course, before the game starts, and of course, after the game starts, you can tweak those results anytime you want. Or for survival and normal mode, perhaps you could simply just ask at the beginning of the mode, maybe limit the options a little bit more, right? Do you want it to be a little harder, than it was before, or do you want the, sort of pre 4.0 survival mode? But then that's it. Once you're done, you're committed. You can't change it again. That's it. And probably the same for normal as well, right? You get to make the rules up at the beginning. That's that. You don't get any other choice. And I would gimp that a little bit too, because what we're finding is that you could probably purchase or unlock a bunch of items for free and then just start tossing that out to people in the anomaly station, and then suddenly everybody's got super expensive items and whatnot. And I don't know if that was considered beforehand. Now, Minecraft has this kind of setup, right, where you can play on those modes and you can customize those modes depending on the servers and things like that. And this game is, for lack of a better explanation, part of the Minecraft genre, right? Is a emergent gameplay experience just like Minecraft. Minecraft has a lot of these rule sets in place. So if we're aiming to be part of the genre, then this is a welcome addition to that. But that would be my solution for the custom game modes, right? Move it to creative, and or at least give me the power to do it at the beginning when I start a mode, and then that's it. Lock it down. You don't get any further access to it. I feel like that's a good compromise to the existing players and players that want to be committed. Because again, there's always the temptation. If you give me access to the tools to cheese the system a little bit, I'm going to be tempted to do it. I'm the guy that, as much as I love the Dark Souls games, I will co-op every single boss just so it reduces the stress on me. I don't have to. I don't have to use all of those summons in Elden Ring that everybody complained about, but I did when I wanted to because it was there. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, well, LZ, just don't do it. Fight the temptation. But we're not also thinking about other players that this could affect too, that you can bring impacts to them by, giving them other items or things like that. I think there is an impact outside of just the player picking their own experience. And then secondly, for the tech, my review said this, and I'll echo it again. I don't think that tech and technology and upgrades and things like that for your exosuit and your ship and your freighter and your vehicles, for that matter, should be in any way included in inventory. I think those things, now they were separated for all intents and purposes with the Waypoint update, so it went most of the way. I think that Hello Games should overhaul technology in general. Like when I go into the menu and I say go to my ship, there should be a button that I can hover over and select that says equipment or upgrades or technology or customized ship or whatever, and that takes you into a subscreen that shows you your engine, it shows you your wings, it shows you your shields, it shows you your weapon, and then you can conduct your upgrades in there. I think that would be a huge win for everybody. It would be a nice refresh, and it would be a lot more understandable. That would also fix the scrolling issue in the inventory screen, because right now you have only but so much real estate, and the scrolling is there. I don't have a problem with the scrolling, honestly. It's a little jarring, but I think it's fine. And I'm going to be honest, and I feel like I might make a separate video kind of selling this period, but shipbuilding must be a thing. And if you make shipbuilding and ship customization a thing, that will also solve this when you move that technology into that menu instead. It's a win-win for everybody, and I know not everybody agrees with shipbuilding. I think you're a broken individual that you want to sit reloading your saves to reset the RNG to go ship hunting. I think you're wrong, and I think you're just wrong. There is no engagement. There's no gameplay. There's no carrot at the end of stick for that, and it's just boring. I think it would add to the gameplay loop and improve the meta of No Man's Sky 2,000% if it's done right. My friends, thank you so much for stopping by the LZ. Again, I wanted to do a rant video, my thoughts on my unfettered, non-review thoughts and the sort of controversy right now. Thanks for listening to me ramble, and I hope this was useful for you all, and I'll see you in the next one.